Here's something most people never think about. You've spent 40 years developing a work identity, but who are you going to be in retirement? Are you the type who will finally travel the world, or will you feel guilty spending the money? Will you volunteer every week or struggle to find purpose? Here's the thing. There's no one right way to retire, but there is a right way for you. And knowing your retirement personality type is the key to planning a retirement you'll actually enjoy, not just one that looks good on paper. 10 questions, 15 minutes, and you'll discover exactly what kind of retiree you're wired to be. So grab a pen and let's figure out who you are when the alarm clock stops. See, here's what happens to a lot of people. They save diligently for 30 years. They hit their retirement number and then they freeze, because suddenly they realize they've planned for retirement financially, but they haven't planned for it personally. Let me tell you about Richard. He retired at 64 with $620,000 saved, pension income of $3,200 a month, and Social Security starting soon. Financially, he was set, but 6 months in, he was miserable. He'd always imagined himself traveling, Europe, Asia, all those bucket list trips, but every time he tried to book something, he'd feel this overwhelming guilt about spending the money. His wife would say, "We can afford this, honey. This is what we saved for." But he couldn't shake the feeling that spending was wrong. Meanwhile, his neighbor Tom retired the same year with half the money Richard had, and Tom was having the time of his life. Why? Because Tom knew himself. He knew he was wired to be active and social, so he immediately signed up for 3 different volunteer positions, joined a hiking club, and started teaching financial literacy at the library. 0 guilt, complete fulfillment. The difference? Tom understood his retirement personality. Richard didn't. Now here's how this works. I'll ask you 10 questions about your attitudes, preferences, and natural tendencies. Each question has 4 options, and each option is worth different points. You'll need to track your points. Grab a pen and paper if you haven't already. At the end, we'll add them up and reveal your dominant retirement personality type. This isn't about right or wrong answers. It's about honest self-assessment. The more truthful you are, the more useful this will be. Important disclaimer. This video is for educational and self-discovery purposes only. It's designed to help you understand your natural retirement tendencies, but it's not personalized financial or psychological advice. Everyone's situation is unique. If you need specific guidance about retirement planning, please consult with a qualified financial advisor or certified financial planner. Think of this as a tool for self-awareness, a way to understand what retirement lifestyle will bring you genuine satisfaction. Ready? Let's figure out who you really are. All right, question 1. This one's about your fundamental relationship with money. Imagine you've just retired with enough savings to last comfortably for 30 years. Your financial advisor assures you that spending $4,000 a month is completely sustainable. How do you feel about actually spending that money? Think about this carefully. Not what you think you should feel, but what you'd actually feel. A. Anxious and guilty. Even though you saved it, spending feels wrong. B. Cautious but willing. You'll spend carefully and track every dollar. C. Confident and balanced. You'll spend on what matters, save on what doesn't. D. Excited and ready. This is what you save for. Time to enjoy it. Be honest. How would you really feel? All right, here's the scoring. A. Anxious and guilty. 3 points. B. Cautious but willing. 8 points. C. Confident and balanced. 10 points. D. Excited and ready. 5 points. Now, there's no wrong answer here, but this reveals something fundamental about you. Research shows that about 70% of retirees are what experts call savers. They adjust their spending to preserve their nest egg, even when they don't need to. Only 30% are spenders who feel comfortable drawing down their savings. Understanding which camp you're in is crucial for planning a retirement that doesn't stress you out. Question 2. This one's about where you find meaning. For the past few decades, work has given you structure, purpose, and identity. When you retire and that structure disappears, what do you think will give you the deepest sense of fulfillment? Really think about this. What makes you feel like your day mattered? A. Helping others through volunteering or community service. B. Learning new things. Classes, skills, knowledge for its own sake. C. Creating or building something. Art, woodworking, writing, projects. D. Enjoying leisure, travel, entertainment, relaxation, social activities. Which one genuinely resonates with you? The points. A. Helping others, 10 points. B. Learning new things, 8 points. C. Creating or building, 8 points. D. Enjoying leisure, 5 points. Here's why this matters. According to a study by the Employee Benefit Research Institute, retirees who identify their purpose before retiring report significantly higher satisfaction levels. Those who retire without a clear purpose, they're twice as likely to report feeling lost or depressed within the first year. Your score here reveals what's going to give you that sense of meaning when the work identity is gone. Moving on to question 3, social energy. In retirement, you'll have significantly more discretionary time. When you imagine an ideal week, how much of that time involves other people? And I'm talking about intentional social interaction, not just being around people. How do you recharge? A. Limited social time. You prefer solitude, maybe 1 or 2 close friends. B. Moderate social time. Regular but not constant, balanced with alone time. C. Frequent social time. You thrive on regular gatherings and activities. D. Constant social connection. You love being surrounded by people daily. What sounds most like you? Here's how it breaks down. A. Limited social time, 5 points. B. Moderate social time, 10 points. C. Frequent social time, 8 points. D. Constant connection, 8 points. Look, I scored a 5 here myself, and that's okay. There's a woman named Patricia I know who retired 3 years ago. She thought something was wrong with her because she didn't want to join all the social clubs her friends were joining. Turns out she's just naturally more introverted. Once she accepted that, she built a retirement around quiet hobbies, one-on-one coffee dates, and solitary walks. She's happier now than ever. Know yourself and don't force a retirement lifestyle that exhausts you. Question 4. Physical activity and energy. Be realistic here. When you think about your retirement years, what activity level genuinely fits your body, your health, and your natural energy? A. Minimal activity. Health issues or preferences mean mostly sedentary. B. Light activity. Daily walks, gentle exercise, occasional outings. C. Moderate activity. Regular exercise, frequent outings, active lifestyle. D. High activity. Hiking, sports, travel, constantly on the go. Where do you honestly see yourself? The scoring. A. Minimal activity, 5 points. B. Light activity, 8 points. C. Moderate activity, 10 points. D. High activity, 10 points. Now here's what's interesting. Morgan Stanley research identifies different retirement types based on spending, and they found that globetrotters and early birds, those high-activity retirees, spend significantly more, especially in the first 10 years of retirement. But their spending declines sharply after that. Meanwhile, moderate activity retirees maintain steadier spending. There's no right answer, But you need to plan your finances around your actual energy level, not the retirement fantasy version of yourself. All right, question 5, risk tolerance. This isn't just about investment risk, it's about life risk. How comfortable are you with uncertainty in retirement? Think about scenarios like trying a new hobby, traveling to unfamiliar places, changing your routine, making new friends, or adjusting your plans. A, very uncomfortable. You want predictability and routine. B, slightly uncomfortable. You'll try new things if low risk. C, moderately comfortable. You enjoy some adventure and change. D, very comfortable. You thrive on newness and unpredictability. What describes you? Points. A, very uncomfortable, 5 points. B, slightly uncomfortable, 8 points. C, moderately comfortable, 10 points. D, very comfortable, 8 points. Here's what financial planners have discovered. Your life risk tolerance almost always mirrors your financial risk tolerance. People who score low here, who crave stability, tend to be conservative with their money too. They're the ones who will keep 60% of their retirement funds in cash and bonds, even at age 65. Those who score high, they're more willing to take investment risks, but also more prone to overspending early in retirement. Neither is wrong, but self-awareness prevents costly mistakes. Question 6, and this one might sting a little. How much of your identity is tied up in your career? When someone asks, "Who are you?" do you immediately think of your job title? Be brutally honest. A, work is my identity. I don't know who I am without my career. B, work is very important. It's a major part of how I see myself. C, work is somewhat important. It matters, but it's not everything. D, work is just work. It doesn't define me as a person. Where are you really? Scoring. A, work is my identity, 3 points. B, very important, 5 points. C, somewhat important, 10 points. D, just work, 10 points. Let me tell you about Michael. He was a surgeon. When he retired at 67, people would ask him at parties, "So, what do you do?" He'd say, "I'm retired," and watch their faces change, like he'd suddenly become less interesting. For 18 months, he struggled with depression because he'd built his entire sense of self around being Dr. Michael. It wasn't until he started mentoring young doctors and found a new identity as a teacher that he felt whole again. If you scored 3 or 5 here, start building other identities now. Before you retire, volunteer, join clubs, develop hobbies, give yourself something to be besides your job title. Question 7, how you approach planning and structure. In retirement, nobody's giving you deadlines or schedules. How much structure do you need to create for yourself? A, minimal structure. I prefer to go with the flow day by day. B, loose structure, some routine, but flexible. C, moderate structure, regular schedule with built-in flexibility. D, detailed structure. I thrive on planned days and routines. What's your natural tendency? The breakdown. A, minimal structure, 5 points. B, loose structure, 8 points. C, moderate structure, 10 points. D, detailed structure, 8 points. According to research, about 79% of retirees follow some kind of monthly spending plan, but the level of detail varies wildly. What matters is matching your retirement structure to your personality. I knew a guy named James who scored an A here, totally spontaneous. He loved it for about 3 months, then realized his days felt empty. He wasn't a detailed planner, but he needed some structure. Once he set 3 simple anchors: morning coffee shop routine, Tuesday volunteer shift, Friday dinner with friends, everything clicked. Find your right level. Question 8. Let's talk about your gut-level spending philosophy. Forget what financial advisors tell you. Forget the 4% rule. Deep down, what's your instinct about money and retirement? A. Preserve it all. I want to leave as much as possible to my heirs. B. Spend cautiously. Cover needs comfortably. Save the rest. C. Spend strategically. Enjoy life now. Leave some for heirs. D. Spend freely. You can't take it with you. Enjoy it now. What's your honest instinct? Points. A. Preserve it all. 3 points. B. Spend cautiously. 8 points. C. Spend strategically. 10 points. D. Spend freely. 5 points. Here's the reality. According to the latest data, 37% of retirees have no retirement savings left by the time they pass away. But another large group barely touches their principal, living on Social Security and minimal withdrawals. There's Susan, who retired with $480,000. She lived so frugally, spending only $2,200 a month, that when she passed away at age 84, she still had $520,000. Her kids inherited a fortune, but Susan never took that European trip she'd dreamed about. Her daughter told me, "I'd trade half that inheritance for Mom to have seen Paris." Balance matters. Question 9. Healthcare planning and mindset. Healthcare expenses are one of the biggest wild cards in retirement. How much mental and financial energy have you put into planning for this? A. Haven't thought about it much. I'll figure it out when needed. B. Basic planning. I know about Medicare, but that's about it. C. Solid planning. I've researched options and budgeted accordingly. D. Comprehensive planning. Full coverage mapped out, including long-term care. Where are you with this? Scoring. A. Haven't thought about it. 3 points. B. Basic planning. 5 points. C. Solid planning. 10 points. D. Comprehensive planning. 10 points. According to the Employee Benefit Research Institute's 2025 data, a retiring couple may need up to $428,000 to have a 90% chance of covering healthcare costs throughout retirement. That's separate from housing, food, everything else, just healthcare. The median cost of assisted living is now $5,511 per month. Here's the thing. Your healthcare planning doesn't just affect your finances. It affects your stress level, your peace of mind, your entire retirement experience. If you scored low here, this needs to be your next major project. Question 10, and this might be the most important one. Retirement is a massive life transition. Some people adapt easily. Others struggle. How would you rate your general ability to adapt to major life changes? Think about past transitions, moves, career changes, losses. How did you handle them? A. Poorly. Major changes really throw me. Take years to adjust. B. With difficulty. I adapt eventually, but it's stressful and slow. C. Reasonably well. I adjust within a few months to a year. D. Very well. I embrace change and adapt quickly. Be honest about your track record. Points. A. Poorly. 5 points. B. With difficulty. 8 points. C. Reasonably well. 10 points. D. Very well. 10 points. Research on retirement adjustment shows that adaptability is one of the strongest predictors of retirement satisfaction. It beats income level, it beats health status, it even beats marital status in some studies. Why? Because retirement requires constant adjustment. Your routine changes, your relationships change, your body changes, your finances change. If you scored low here, that's actually valuable information. It tells you that you need to make this transition gradually. Maybe work part-time for a few years. Maybe phase into retirement rather than going cold turkey. Give yourself permission to take it slow. All right, add up all your points. Take your time. Got your total? Good. Before we get to what your score means, look at the questions where you scored lowest. Those are your vulnerability points, the areas where retirement might challenge you most. Pay attention to those. Now, your retirement personality type. If you scored 75 to 100 points, the confident navigator. You've got strong self-awareness, balanced perspectives, and good preparation. You're likely someone who's thought deeply about retirement beyond just the financial numbers. You understand your needs, your limits, and your priorities. Your retirement will probably look intentional and purposeful because you know yourself well. But here's your challenge. Don't become rigid. Just because you know yourself now doesn't mean you won't change. Stay flexible. Check in with yourself annually. Ask, is this still working for me? The confident navigator who never questions their course can end up stuck in a routine that no longer serves them. Your strength is self-knowledge. Make sure you keep updating that knowledge as you evolve. If you scored 55 to 74 points, the thoughtful planner, you're on the right track, but you've got some blind spots. Maybe you haven't fully thought through your social needs. Maybe you're unclear about your purpose. Maybe you're too tied to your work identity. Whatever your weak spots are, they're fixable. The good news is you scored high enough to show you're taking this seriously. Your task now is focused work on those low-scoring areas. If you scored low on purpose, start experimenting with activities now while you're still working. If you scored low on spending philosophy, work with a financial advisor to develop a spending plan that fits your personality, not someone else's template. You're 70% of the way there. That last 30% is about honest self-reflection and specific action on your vulnerabilities. And if you scored 35 to 54 points, the uncertain seeker, you're somewhere in the middle. You've got some things figured out, but retirement is still more question mark than exclamation point. And that's actually okay, as long as you don't retire tomorrow. Here's what you need to understand. Retirement is as much an identity shift as it is a financial one, and you're not quite ready for that identity shift yet. Your path forward involves exploration. Start trying things now. Volunteer for a month and see how it feels. Take a week-long trip and notice if you feel guilty spending the money. Join a club and observe your energy levels around group activities. Think of this as your retirement research phase. You're gathering data on yourself. Some people in this category need 1 more year of preparation. Others need 3. But don't rush it. An uncertain retirement leads to an unhappy retirement. If you scored 30 to 34 points, the identity rebuilder. Let me be straight with you. You're not ready to retire yet, at least not in the traditional sense. Your score suggests you're deeply tied to your work identity. You haven't thought much about purpose or structure, or you're very uncomfortable with change. Retirement for you would feel less like freedom and more like falling off a cliff. But here's the crucial thing. This doesn't mean you can't retire happily. It means you need to build the foundation first. Think of retirement as a house. Right now, you're standing on an empty lot. You need to pour the foundation before you can move in. What does that mean practically? It means starting to separate your identity from your career right now. It means building relationships and hobbies outside of work. It means experimenting with unstructured time on weekends. It probably means considering a phased retirement, maybe part-time work for a few years rather than a hard stop. Research shows that people with strong work identities who retire cold turkey have significantly higher rates of depression and health problems. Don't be a statistic. Build your new identity while you still have your old one to fall back on. So there you have it, your retirement personality type. Now here's what I want you to remember. First, this isn't destiny. It's data. You're not locked into being one type forever. People evolve. You can work on your weak areas and shift your personality type over time. In fact, that's exactly what you should do. Second, the worst retirement decisions come from ignoring your personality. I can't tell you how many people I've seen try to retire like their friends or their neighbors when they're wired completely differently. Your perfect retirement might be volunteering at the food bank twice a week, or it might be traveling to every state in the country, or it might be working part-time doing something you love. There's no one size fits all, and anyone who tells you there is doesn't understand people. Third, use this information. Really use it. If you discovered you're tied to your work identity, start building other identities now. If you learned you're anxious about spending money, work with a therapist or financial advisor on that. If you realized you're not sure what gives you purpose, start experimenting. So here's what I'd suggest you do after watching this. First, share this with your spouse or partner if you have one. Compare scores. Talk about what you discovered about yourselves. Second, pick your lowest scoring question and make a concrete plan to address it in the next 60 days. Just one question, one action. Third, revisit this quiz in 6 months. See if your scores change as you get closer to retirement or as you settle into it. I genuinely love to hear from you. What type did you turn out to be? And more importantly, what surprised you most about your results? Was there a question that made you stop and think, I never considered that before? Drop a comment below. I read all of them. And if you found this helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I've got more videos coming on creating purpose in retirement, managing the emotional side of leaving work, and building a retirement budget that matches your personality type. But for now, that's it. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. And remember, the best retirement isn't the richest one or the busiest one. It's the one that's genuinely right for you. I'll see you in the next one.